Sarah's alarm screamed at 4:30 a.m., a cruel reminder that sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. By 5 a.m., she was scrubbing dishes at the diner, her hands raw, her heart heavier than the plates she stacked. The neon glow of the diner's sign buzzed faintly as Sarah wiped sweat from her brow. At 35, she hadn't imagined this life: two jobs, endless bills, and a one-bedroom apartment she couldn't even call her own anymore. Her shift at the diner ended at noon, giving her just enough time to rush across town to her evening gig as a cashier at a 24-hour convenience store. Her body ached, but the rent was due, and so was the electric bill, the water bill, and the grocery list that never seemed to shrink. She pushed through, fueled by coffee and the stubborn will to keep her daughter, Mia, in school and out of the chaos that had become their home. 2 years ago, Sarah's life was different. She and Tom had been married for a decade, raising Mia in a modest but happy home. They weren't rich, but they were stable, or so she thought. Then Tom changed. He grew restless, distant, chasing dreams of something more. When he left her for Lisa, a free-spirited musician he met at a bar, Sarah was blindsided. The divorce was quick, brutal, and left her with primary custody of Mia and a pile of shared debt. She didn't cry for long. Mia needed her to be strong, so she was. But then Tom came back not to reconcile, but to crash. 6 months ago, he showed up at her doorstep, broke, with Lisa in tow. Just for a few weeks, he'd said, his eyes avoiding hers. Lisa's between gigs, and I lost my job. We've got nowhere else to go. Sarah's heart twisted. She wanted to slam the door, to scream that he'd already taken enough. But Mia was watching, her 9-year-old eyes wide with hope that her dad might stay. So Sarah let them in, thinking it was temporary. Weeks turned into months. Tom found odd jobs but spent his earnings on Lisa's music career amplifiers, strings, and endless open mic nights. Lisa, meanwhile, played her guitar all day, her laughter filling the apartment while Sarah worked herself to the bone. The apartment was a pressure cooker. Sarah's bedroom was now Mia's, while she slept on a pull-out couch in the living room. Tom and Lisa took the guest nook, their belongings spilling everywhere: guitar picks on the counter, half-empty coffee mugs, Lisa's lyric notebooks scattered like mocking reminders of their carefree existence. Sarah's resentment grew, but she swallowed it. She had to. For Mia. At the diner, Sarah plastered on a smile for the regulars. Old Mr. Jenkins always tipped an extra $1, his shaky hands passing her a worn bill with a kind word. "You're a fighter, Sarah," he'd say. She'd nod, but inside she felt like a boxer in the 10th round, bruised and barely standing. The diner's manager, Carla, noticed her exhaustion but couldn't offer more hours. Business was slow. "You're doing great, kid," Carla said one morning, slipping her a free coffee. Sarah thanked her, but the caffeine couldn't mask the truth she was drowning. Her second job at the convenience store was worse. The fluorescent lights buzzed like her thoughts, relentless and unforgiving. Late-night customers were either drunks or loners, and the occasional creep made her skin crawl. She kept a pocket knife under the counter, just in case. By 1:08 when her shift ended, she'd drag herself home, her feet throbbing, her mind racing with numbers: rent, $900 groceries, $200 Mia's school supplies, $50. She'd collapse on the couch, only to hear Lisa strumming in the next room, oblivious to the world. One night, Sarah came home to find Tom and Lisa hosting an impromptu jam session with strangers in her living room. Beer cans littered the coffee table, and the air smelled of cheap weed. Mia was in her room, headphones on, trying to study. Sarah's blood boiled. "Get them out," she said, her voice low but sharp. Tom laughed it off. "Relax, Sarah. It's just a little fun." Lisa chimed in, her voice syrupy. "You should join us. You're always so stressed." Sarah wanted to scream. Instead, she grabbed Mia's hand and took her to the diner for a late-night milkshake. Anything to escape the chaos. Mia was Sarah's anchor. At 9, she was bright, curious, and too perceptive for her own good. "Why does Dad let Lisa stay?" she asked one night, her small voice cutting through the diner's hum. Sarah's throat tightened. She wanted to tell Mia the truth that Tom was weak, that Lisa was a leech, but she couldn't. "Sometimes people make bad choices," she said instead, brushing a strand of hair from Mia's face. "But we've got each other." "Okay," Mia nodded, but her eyes held questions Sarah couldn't answer. The breaking point came on a frigid February evening. Sarah had worked a double shift at the diner, then a full one at the store. She came home at 2:00, her fingers numb from the cold, to find the apartment dark and the heat off. The bill hadn't been paid. She'd given Tom $200 to cover it, but the money was gone, spent on a new guitar pedal for Lisa. Sarah stood in the kitchen, staring at the unpaid bill, her hands shaking. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just felt something snap inside her. The next morning, she confronted Tom. "You need to leave," she said, her voice steady but cold. "Both of you." Tom looked stunned, then defensive. "Where are we supposed to go? You know I'm trying." Lisa, sprawled on the couch, smirked. "You're so dramatic." "Sarah, we're not hurting anyone." Sarah's hands clenched into fists. "You're hurting me. You're hurting Mia. I'm done." She gave them a week to get out. Tom begged. Lisa sulked, but Sarah held firm. She spent her next day off helping Mia with homework, baking cookies, and reclaiming their space. When Tom and Lisa finally left, dragging their bags and guitar cases, the apartment felt lighter. Sarah and Mia sat on the couch, sharing a blanket, watching a movie. For the first time in months, Sarah breathed. But the struggle didn't end. Sarah still worked 2 jobs. The bills still piled up. Yet something had shifted. She'd found her voice, her strength. She enrolled in night classes to become a nurse, a dream she'd shelved during her marriage. It meant more debt, more exhaustion, but also hope. Mia started smiling more, her laughter filling the apartment instead of Lisa's strums. Months later, Sarah ran into Tom at the grocery store. He was alone, thinner, his eyes tired. "Lisa left," he said quietly. "I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything." She nodded, not out of forgiveness, but closure. "Take care of yourself, Tom," she said, then walked away, her cart full of groceries for her and Mia's new life. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the story of countless women fighting to survive, to protect their children, to reclaim their worth. It's a story of resilience, of choosing yourself when the world demands you give everything. But it's also a question: when does helping someone become enabling? Where do you draw the line between compassion and self-preservation? Share your thoughts: what's right, what's fair, and what does justice look like in a world where survival often comes at a cost?